So if you want to have an amazing landscape photo and you want to give it that extra touch, watch along because on screen I am showing you the objectives for today. We're going to add a pop to our photo, recover our colors, and create dramatic water. Remember that you can download this same photo below on the description, as well as the Snapseed app for iPhone or for Android. I am Giselle Behrens for Photo TV NYC, directly from New York City, to help you create amazing photos. So let's start. On screen, I'm going to have my cell phone screen, which is 100% live, and I am live, so any adjustments that I will be doing, you guys will be seeing them with me. Once you have your Snapseed app open, I want you to go ahead, press that big plus button, and if you did download the photo, just locate today's photo, or you can also use one of your own photos, because these tips do apply to any landscape photography. So we're going to look for our tools, which is down here below. It's a very intuitive app. And we're going to go to Tune Image. So in Tune Image, our first tip is going to be adjust our general edits. Go for our general adjustments. And with our finger, we're going to make the pop-up menu come up, just dragging the finger up and down on the screen. We're going to start from the top to the bottom with brightness. So for brightness, we're going to add, because this photo is a little bit gray, so we're going to add like halfway there, around 48 for brightness. You guys can see the values that I'm adding right here on the top part of the screen. And now I'm gonna go to contrast to make those black just come back a little bit, because we added a lot of brightness, but we added brightness up to the point where we have information, and as you can see, our highlights still have information, and we are gonna be playing around with our highlights, which are the lightest part of the image, because we want them to have texture, and we are trying to create dramatic water, so we're going to make sure that we don't lose that. So now in contrast, I'm going to add quite a bit, because I do want our blacks to be black, so I'm going to leave it at 76, and that's also going to help with the lighter tones to become a little bit lighter. Now we're going to come down, go to saturation, and we're going to leave saturation as is and go to ambience. Now ambience, it's a very special tool, because when you add ambience, anything that is light is going to become dark, and the dark is going to become light, and vice versa if you reduce the ambience. So you can test it out and see how it looks. I'm going to add just a touch of around 13. You can see how the sky starts becoming a little bit darker when I add ambience, and the darker mountain starts becoming lighter. So I'm going to add just 13 to give it a special touch. Now on our highlights, I mentioned that we wanted to add dramatic water, so I want to make sure that we have this texture of the bubbles of this amazing wave hitting on the sand. And to do this, I'm going to do a negative highlight of minus 44, and this is going to help our highlights stay there and we won't lose them. After highlights, I'm going to go to shadows and just add a tad. Shadows are going to darken up our black areas without adjusting anything else. I'm going to leave it in -5. And our warmth, I'm just going to enhance, and I'm creating all of the adjustments around the water. So I want to make sure that the water is the main element in this photo. So I want it to be nice and blue. So I'm going to reduce warmth, which makes the image cooler and bluer. And we're going to eliminate yellow by doing that. And that's going to make my water become bluer. So I'm going to go ahead, press our check mark, and go to the second tip of the day for landscapes, which is details. On a landscape, we always want to have our details nice and sharp. Usually cameras take the images, and when we see them, we don't notice, but they are a little bit soft and fuzzy. So we want to fix that small error and just correct that. And we're going to be using structure first. So I'm going to zoom in and take a look at your screen. You can see how it apparently looks okay, but when we start adding structure, and then I'm going to bring up my pop-up menu and bring up sharpening. And when we start adding sharpening, you can really see the before and after. Look at that. There, in this moment, is where we realize how fuzzy and how blurry our photo was, especially when we're talking landscapes with natures or urban landscapes, because the textures really start coming out. Look at this, for example, at the rocks, everything that is there, even the water. And the water is our main element of this photo, so that's such an important step. I'm gonna press my check mark, go to tools, and now I'm going to go to drama. And drama is gonna give us some dramatic images. So when I am here, I'm going to diminish my filter to 0, as well as my saturation. And now here, I'm gonna go to filter strength and add slowly, just to the point that I think that it's okay. And I think it's gonna be around there in plus 19. And saturation, I'm not gonna move saturation. I'm gonna leave it around here, just because we don't wanna go too far with the adjustment. So I'm gonna press my check mark, and afterwards I'm gonna go to selective, and where I am going to add some saturation is going to be on the water, just to create some color contrast on this image between the greens and the blues. Because even though they are very similar colors, if we add saturation, we can find a differentiation between the aqua blue and this green. You're gonna do it by tapping on the water and making sure that the ring around that red X is the color that you want to adjust. When you're there, you're just going to place your finger on the screen all the way on the right hand side, and you're gonna be able to pop up that menu, go to saturation, and I added 59 for saturation. You can see the before, it really blends in and it doesn't stand out. It's sort of very similar to the sky, but when we do add saturation to this area, it gives us that really bright aqua blue. We can also enhance this by making the masking area smaller, and that way it doesn't affect the sky. So I'm gonna press my check mark, and finally, I feel that this image, and if you look on screen, is a little bit dark on this area, but over here it's nice and bright. So what I'm gonna try to do is darken this area up, just to create a little bit of a vignetting effect. And I'm going to go to tools and add vignette, and with this vignette, I'm going to open it and place it on my right side of the image, because I want to make sure that anything that is inside of this white circle is not going to be affected by the adjustment of the darkening vignette on the outside of the circle. So I'm going to diminish it slightly, and I'm gonna leave it at around minus 38. You can see the before and the after. We can go a little bit more dramatic on that, maybe around 51, and that gives us a touch, helping our spectator's eye to really travel to the center of this image and to this awesome triangle that is over here, and then this amazing water. So once we are done, you can go ahead, press export. You can share directly with your family and friends, or you can save it on your phone, which is exactly what I'm gonna do right now. And on screen, you're gonna be seeing the before and after, as well as what we learned. We learned the 5 top tips that you can apply to any landscape, be it urban or nature landscape. These tips really are general, that work for any photo, and you can, if you feel that it doesn't work, you can continue experimenting, because there's no right or wrong way to go about them. It's all in the photographer's intention. Number 2, we added a splash of color, especially on the blue, making it more aqua, because at the beginning it does have that potential of becoming a little bit more aqua, and we went for it, we did a selective adjustment, and it's there. And that added to the dramatic water effect for extra impact on this photo. Even if you take the photo with a professional camera like I did, or with a cell phone. You can also use your cell phone and edit them. In fact, we are editing them on our cell phone. So if you do feel that you made an amazing photo thanks to this tutorial, and that you learned something new on how to create impact with your photos, go ahead and click that subscribe button, because we do have live tutorials helping you to make incredible photography. I'm Giselle Behrens from New York City. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you on the next live show.